Sid, are you ready for an obscene stat?
Yeah, please.
I have not missed a cup race on TV since mid-2017.
Holy crap, dude.
I've seen every single one live since Daytona 2017.
Come on.
Damn.
That's
I'm not
hardcore.
kidding.
That's hardcore, bro.
And you watched the entirety of the race?
There are some where I have to, like, you know, maybe if I'm, like, working, I'll, like, watch on my phone. Like, I'm not really paying attention. But, like, I always have it on every single time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy that you're that. You're.
The only thing I'm like that with is the Giants in football.
Really.
And the Giants are terrible. But if they're on, I have them
Could you
somewhere.
imagine if they drafted Mahomes instead?
I know.
Oh my god.
And that's the only thing about that dude McAdoo, because he was terrible.
He was.
But he didn't like Eli. I don't know why they hired him, because the Giants were committed to Eli, and he clearly did not want Eli as his quarterback.
Right.
So it was a terrible hire. But yeah, so they either should have hired another coach or let him draft Mahomes.
Right.
Yeah,
He wanted to too.
I know he did, and that was the first sign that they were just on the outs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he screwed Eli with the streak that Eli had. I mean, that streak's not a big deal, but it did say something. Like, Eli, he comes off like a Gomer, but he was a tough dude, man. He never missed a game. He missed that one game because he benched him for Geno freaking Smith.
Right.
It wasn't like he benched him for some young guy. He benched him for Geno Smith, who we saw play on the Jets for a couple of years. And
Right.
I know he's having a little resurgence in Seattle, but Geno Smith was never better than Eli. There was no
Right.
point to that.
Right.
But yeah, they've had bad coaches for a long time. I still don't even
You
know
know, I
about this
seen
guy.
they had a whole John Madden special on the other night, and I watched it.
Yeah.
And they interviewed Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
Boy, has he aged.
Yeah, he's getting up there.
Yes, he looks.
He's got to be close to 80 now, I would
He
think.
looked like he was almost in his 90s to
Yeah.
me.
Well, he was in his 40s in the 80s when he coached the Giants, so he's got to be in his 80s now.
Yeah.
Yep.
You see how much money John Madden made? It was the whole story when CBS switched over to Fox.
Yeah.
And Fox had nothing, and they won the NFL contract.
Right, and then they got Madden and Summerall. That was
They
huge.
took Madden and Summerall, but I think their first offer to Madden was $32 million
Yep.
as an announcer.
Right.
$32 million. He brought that much clout to the game wherever he went.
Yeah, he was great. I still will go on YouTube and listen to old games with Madden and Summerall.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous. And then there's a whole... He had like 3 careers.
Is there anybody that's close as a team right now that you enjoy listening to as far as announcers? You like Troy Aikman?
I actually like Buck and Aikman. A lot of people hate on Joe Buck. I think Joe Buck's is good.
Oh, yeah. He's Hall of Famer announcer.
You know what I like about Joe Buck is, like, he knows when to shut up.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do baseball anymore, but whether he did baseball or football, like in baseball, the playoffs, if there was a huge home run, like, he would make the call, and then, you know, the guy would go around the bases, he'd celebrate with his team, he'd show the dejected pitcher, and he would just let the moment happen.
Yeah.
And then he would pick
I
it
thought
up.
he was good.
I think he's great. And I'm a Giants fan, but I do really like Aikman. I think he's really good.
I think Aikman's good, too.
Yep. Those are probably it. I was never really a big Al Michaels guy. I mean, he was not terrible, but
Al Michaels was good.
he's got to be kicking himself to do that Amazon Prime contract, because those games are terrible.
Yeah.
Those Thursday night games are not
Is that
good.
what he does? That's why he's never around?
Yeah, he's on the Thursday night games are on Amazon Prime, and those are the games that he does. Yeah, they're bad.
Yeah, they are.
So, yeah, like, to me, Buck and Aikman are this generation's Madden and Summerall, but nobody's really Madden and Summerall. They were so good.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were the best.
What a great story on him. It was you probably would love to watch it. It was a great doc on
Yeah, I will check that out. So he has like 3 careers. One generation knows him as a coach. Another one knows him as the announcer, and the younger generation will know him as the
video game.
gaming guy.
The
Yeah,
video game guy.
Yeah.
That's what I know him as.
Right.
You don't know him as an announcer and stuff?
Nope.
Oh, it's Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, right. He was good. He was a little hokey. He actually, towards the later years, he kind of fell off a little bit. But in this heyday, man,
He was excellent.
yeah, he was really good. The football is like baseball was the only sport I ever knew how to play. It's like the only sport I played like in an organized fashion.
Yeah.
Basketball, I tried out for basketball both years in junior high, and I didn't make the team. And only 3 kids got cut, and I was one of those 3.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I could never do any. I was one-sided, so it was easy to guard me because, you know what I mean. I could only go one way.
Yep.
And I was small, and that's why I didn't play football too. Was I was afraid I was just gonna get crushed in football because I was a tiny kid. But I can't stand watching baseball now.
Yeah, I don't watch it.
And it's
at
like
all.
it's like home run derby.
Yeah.
The game has changed now. Nobody bunts. No, it's and there's too many strikeouts and there's too many pitching changes. I can't stand this. Like you come in for one thing and then they change it. That bothers me. Basketball, like I love Steph Curry. I just think he's an amazing talent, but like he changed the game to a game that I don't really like. Like nobody does
He's
rebounding.
fun to watch.
Oh, he's
though.
amazing.
You can't even touch a game like my wife loves the Warriors and Steph Curry. You can't even touch a ticket.
Yeah.
Like you gotta spend $500 to go watch him play
I
at the
know.
Garden. Like he brings so much money to every city.
Yeah. I always I remember somebody had asked this about basketball, like what was the Mount Rush, like who's your Mount Rushmore for basketball? And people were like wording it differently, like who's the best player, who's the most athletic. And it was, for me, it was the guys that changed the game, like that Mount Rushmore. And for me, it was Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J, Michael Jordan, and Steph Curry. Because the way they played changed the way like the NBA's product is.
Yeah.
Like now, like 7-footers shoot, like Kevin Durant is a nasty 3-point shooter. He's 7 feet tall, you know, and like it's almost like it's almost like if you can't right. And those guys, you know, are like they predated Curry, but Curry has made it to where if you can't shoot deep threes, like you're not that great of a shooter now. Like he's elevated to that point, you know. And
his shooting skills though are next level.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's fun to watch. And his handles, dude. He can dribble
he's just unbelievable.
Yeah. So it's weird. As much as I love, it's the same with Jordan. So like in the '90s, the Celtics weren't really good, but I loved Jordan
Have you
versus
seen
Knicks.
his net value?
Michael Jordan.
Oh,
It's got to be off the charts.
it's so every year. So I watched this thing where, you know,
It's got to be in the billions.
as out of college he was 500,000.
Yeah.
Right, and it just every year, even after retired, 40s, 50s, it was jumping exponentially, like from 20 million to 50 million to 90 million to 200 to 700 to a billion, 3.5, and it just keeps climbing.
Yeah.
There's no end in sight. Every year he's worth another billion or more.
And it's been like 26. Well, I forget that he came back and played with the Warriors or the
But his product line with Jordan's
Wizards. Yeah.
his name on all the I mean,
Did you see the movie Air with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck? It's pretty good. They actually do a really cool thing where the prominent players are, you know, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck plays like the head of the what's his name, Phil Hertz or something, the guy that's the head of Nike.
Oh yeah, yep.
And Michael Jordan's mother was prominent, and Michael. They have a guy that plays
Oh,
Michael
I did
Jordan,
see that.
but they
was a great
always
movie, yeah.
shoot like Michael Jordan from the back or from the side, or when he shakes somebody's hand because he's so tall. Like they never show his face, so you can get away with it because like. I don't know if you ever saw the American Crime Story on the OJ thing, but they had Cuba Gooding Jr. play OJ. That was a really good series, but it was always weird that Cuba Gooding Jr. was playing OJ Simpson because he looks nothing like him.
Right.
And in this movie, they didn't try to do that. They just shot it in a way where you never like he was this quiet figure. His mother handled the negotiations, and it was about the Nike guys taking the risk on this guy out of college. Like now, they all want to sign him when they're young, just like any other sport, especially even like NASCAR. But back then, it was a big deal that they were going to. Adidas was the if you can imagine that.
Yeah, they were it.
Adidas and Converse, Larry Bird and Magic, they were the Converse guys, and they were the face of the league back then. So it was a big gamble to put all this money in Michael Jordan, who was a decent player. He was a high pick in the draft, but nobody knew he was going to be all world like he was.
Right.
But yeah, that was a cool movie. A lot of times in movies, it's like sports movies, they're not. There's a lot of bad sports movies. To me, baseball has the most enjoyable. There's a lot of good baseball movies.
Oh, you're going to bring up the Field of Dreams?
That's actually one of my least favorite movies.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I like. You ever seen 8 Men Out with the story about the Black Sox scandal? It's got John Cusack
I'm
and
not
Charlie
much
Sheen.
of a movie buff, but I feel like I have.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
And Moneyball's a good movie, even though it's not like Moneyball's weird because like it's about the A's and like you know how it's analytics kind of is taking over the game. The guy Billy Beane that was the A's GM, he kind of spearheaded it. And it's about the 2002 A's, and
I did see that,
and it was good. The movie, like as a movie, it's good, but the 2002 A's had Miguel Tejada, who was the AL MVP that year,
I remember him,
and Barry Zito, who was the AL Cy Young Award winner that year, and they don't even mention that. They just make it sound like it's this collection of bums that ended up making the playoffs and winning 20 games. And it's like, well, they weren't bums. They had the Cy Young Award winner and the MVP. Like they were a good team, you know.
Right.
But if you're a non-baseball fan, you're not going to know that. But you know, Brad Pitt's really good in it. I mean, it's a good movie. But I mean, like Major League, that movie's hilarious. That's a great movie. There's a ton of good movies. The Natural. You ever seen The Natural?
I don't think so.
That's a good one too. I mean, that's more like.
When I usually put it on the TV, I usually tend to watch more pornos and stuff.
Yeah, of course you do.
God.
Sure, right. Those are fun too.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I should mention The Sandlot too as a baseball movie.
Sandlot. Oh yeah, that's right.
That's a great movie. Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of good football movies.
No.
You know, Any Given Sunday. I mean, Jerry Maguire to me I think I saw Jerry Maguire in the movies and that was it. I never watched it again.
You didn't like that movie?
It's all right. I kind of have a problem with Tom Cruise. He kind of annoys me. I don't know. He annoys me.
I like him.
I like The Firm and A Few Good Men.
Yep.
I remember.
You didn't like Top Gun?
I've never seen Top Gun.
Really? And you're a movie buff.
I know. I'm telling you, he annoys me. There's something about Tom Cruise that's just annoying.
Understandable.
You don't like him either?
Yeah,
It's like he's the same guy in every movie almost.
Yeah.
It's like
watching the Hallmark Channel.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's this movie called it's him and Jamie Foxx. And he's a jerk in that movie. He kind of manipulates Jamie Foxx. What the heck is the name of that movie? Collateral.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Right. So I was talking.
That was a really good movie.
I was talking to my buddy Steve, similar to what we were just doing. And he's like, "Oh, you got to see Collateral. It's got Tom Cruise." And I'm like, "Dude, I can't stand Tom Cruise." He's like, "Yeah, he's a total jerk off in this movie. He's just he plays a very evil. He's the evil guy. He's the bad guy in this movie." He's like, "If you hate Tom Cruise, you'll like this movie." And I watched it. It was pretty badass. It was good. Yeah. And I like Jamie Foxx, so yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah, I know Tom Cruise is like one of the biggest stars in the world, but there's something about him that is just annoying. Have you ever gone back and watched The Outsiders with Tom Cruise? Because he's in there. It's almost like a bit part.
Really?
And he's like, he's really like raw looking, like he's not Tom Cruise, the movie star yet. There's a couple scenes in there where we're just going like, it's like
really?
it's like, wow, you became like the biggest movie star in the world. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing with racing too. Like, you know, we talked about Talladega Nights. Didn't think it was that funny. I mean, Days of Thunder is a very rewatchable movie. It's enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
And that does have Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Did you like him in that movie?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not a great movie. There's a lot of corniness in that movie.
That movie was critically panned.
Yeah, it was not right. But like to me, there's a difference between like what would be.
How do you think a modern day NASCAR movie would do today?
I don't think it would do that well at the box office.
I don't think so either.
I think it could, but you have to have the story. Like you just can't make it about NASCAR. Yeah, if they had a story, if they did a
Dale Earnhardt story.
See, I think if it was about Dale Earnhardt Jr., and you obviously would have the backstory of his dad, but like to me, like the weight that Dale Jr. carried as like the purveyor of his dad's legacy, I felt like it was a huge burden that he pulled off wonderfully. Like, and he was successful. He wasn't his dad, but nobody was really. But to me, that's the more compelling story. But I mean, that's just me.
Right.
But you have to find the right story. You can't just make a movie about NASCAR. That's
I was really asking about a NASCAR type movie in general, whatever the story may be. You know, even if it's about Junior, let's just say they do a great story about Junior. Do you still think it does good in the box office?
Maybe like 10 years ago.
Not now, right?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't think so. They made a movie in 2017 called like Logan Lucky or something like that, and it was about this heist that went on like underneath Charlotte Motor Speedway while a race was going on. It didn't do that great at the box office, but it was received like really well critically. So I don't know.
Right.
there's got to be some other story going on that just happens to be like roped into NASCAR. I don't think a movie that's just driving hard would do that well today.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's something about the race. So like the 30 for 30s, you know, I love all those, right? There's one on Tim Richmond. That was one of the first ones they did, or maybe in the first 15 or 20 they did.
Fro, you know who Tim Richmond is?
The old Tim Richmond or the one that drives ARCA now? Yeah, I know both of them.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the 30 for 30 on him?
Nope.
That dude was tremendous.
I know he was a chilling guy.
Chilling guy, winning guy, and he was a ladies' man.
I was going to say sexy.
Yeah.
That's what I knew about him.
He had everything going on, winning and winning outside until he wasn't.
Yeah.
And see, so that's a compelling story, at least when I saw the 30 for 30, because obviously it was about racing, but then you got to go back to the 80s where, like, he had AIDS. Nobody wanted to talk about it. It was just a totally different time. It was pre Magic Johnson saying he had AIDS, which really was kind of like a turning point where people like accepted it, or you know. And like, do you even think of AIDS or the HIV virus when you see Magic Johnson now?
They still have No,
right?
Not at
you
all.
Don't think about it at all.
But they have commercials still for people living with it.
Yeah.
I only think about it because there was a South Park episode where Magic Johnson figured out you could cure AIDS by injecting like shredded money directly into your bloodstream. And so whenever I see Magic Johnson, I'm like, oh, he's the guy from South Park that had AIDS.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think NASCAR is better suited for like a Netflix series, which they did. Like the hardcore interest in NASCAR, like there was in the 2000s, is not really there. Like if you want a general audience to watch NASCAR, it's got to be in some accessible way that people can just be like, well, fuck it, like I have nothing to watch, so I guess I'll watch this NASCAR documentary. They're not going to go to it.
Yeah. See, my lore to the sport really has nothing to do with cars. Like this, like the mechanism of how a car works. I'm not mechanically inclined.
No, me neither.
So like that's but see, you like watching practice. Like that's one of the reasons why Cup practice to me is there's nothing there for me. It means like I don't know what's compelling about that for you. I don't get it.
I mean, I guess I'm just so into the sport and like the points and again betting on it.
Yeah, well, I guess
that if you
so,
want
right.
to know how the race is going to be set up, you got to watch practice. Like if you're addicted to NASCAR, like I am, it's like an extra little. It's
it
an extra
really
little bonus.
is. When you like racing, when I come home on a Friday and it's on, I would much rather watch that than Family Feud, honestly.
For sure,
right? And because it's live in action. And you don't have to be there. There's something. It's like being at practice. Like when we talked about paying $5 to go watch practice at Speedbowl.
Yeah.
Fro says I would definitely do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would go in at $5 and have a beer and watch practice too, and see who's running good and see who's not.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the point I was going to make is that like, the lore to me is the people, it's the competition, it's the drama, it's the wrecks, it's the side by side action.
Yep.
And the sport doesn't always have that. That's the same with baseball. And like I said, I love baseball. But if you go and watch a game and it's a 1-0 game and there was only 3 hits and there was a combined 30 strikeouts between the two teams, no fan is going to get hooked. Dude. And to me, it's the same if you go and watch a race and it's single file and there's no lead changes and there's no cautions and restarts. No one's going to get hooked on that product either.
I have only one counterpoint to that, right?
Go.
Baseball, all right. Anyone can go play baseball in their backyard, right?
Yeah.
Like you can grab a stick and hit balls around all you want. Like that's a normal human activity. For me, when I watch racing, I'm like, this is a spectacle. Like these guys are crazy to go out and do this.
What racing has against it is, like, if you like basketball, you can have a basketball and a hoop, and you can go out there and just shoot hoops by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, football, maybe you need a couple people. But these other sports like hockey, like you really can't play hockey unless you have at least 3 people, or somebody in the goal and then 2 people against each other.
And a ton of gear.
And a ton of gear, right. And that's the thing with the
racing.
You need to have the car, you need to have all that, and you need a team together. You can't really do a lot of it all yourself.
Yeah.
Well, that goes against it in some ways because the barrier to entry is higher. So, like, kids, you know, it's kind of hard to sit around and be like, oh, I'm going to be a race car driver. Like, you can't just go up to your mom and dad and be like, can we go racing? Like, unless you're sort of already in it. But I also think the flip side of that is that it gives it that wow factor. Like, wow, I couldn't do that. Which is why you go watch it on TV because the appeal is in its danger.
And he's speaking from the flesh right there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.